want everyone in it?
Is it not just to show what you're going to do to lead us through? Look to the audience and say them, then find your place. Loud, clear, slow, confident. I'd like to say, and they'll probably sick of me hearing this, but I'd like to share with you, these young people did us proud in Gambia. They were a credit to the Box Youth Project. They were a credit to you parents, because honestly this is the best group I've ever worked with. And they were a credit to the city of Sunderland. They really did us proud. And I can't say thanks enough to them. Fingers crossed they're going to do us proud tonight, because we haven't had practice. So I'm saying that so they don't let us down. We're going to start with a little bit of a drum roll in, and then the young people have got a presentation that's going to share with you that outlines what we did in Gambia. Bear in mind this is very much potted. It's 2 weeks in 10 minutes. And after that, we've got a bit of a slideshow so you can see for yourselves the type of activities that they did while we were out there. Tonight as well, they're also, by doing the presentation, going to be assessed for the Youth Achievement Award. This is the final part of the Youth Achievement Award, sharing the learning with yourselves. In the end, I'd very much appreciate it if you've got questions, to ask them questions, because we need to get it on video as evidence, so please don't be scared to answer them questions. I'm sure they'll have no problem in answering you at all. So over to the young people, go for it.
Welcome to the Box Youth Project. First of all, we'd like to thank you for coming and showing interest in what we've been doing over the past year, because it's been a year-long experience, and we promise you won't be disappointed. Tonight is all about our experience in Gambia, and like Denise said, 5 people from Cumbria can't be with us tonight, but you'll see them on all the slides, and they'll also be doing a presentation in Cumbria, so we'll be able to share our experience with even more people. The presentation tonight is going to be a group effort, so we're each going to tell you about a different aspect of what we've been doing when we're in Gambia. And it's also the final task in our Platinum Youth Achievement Award, which is the highest award that can be achieved through UK, which is the National Youth Work Organisation. After listening, I'm sure you'll have lots of questions, or hopefully you'll have lots of questions, so we'll try and answer those. So over to Vicky.
Hi, I'm Vicky, and I'm going to talk about the work that we had to do leading up to the trip. We came here every Wednesday night, and as a group, we were tasked with a number of jobs linked to our visit. Our biggest task was working on the container. Denise and Lisa had met with different schools and community groups on their last visit, and had drawn up a list of things that we could gather together and ship out to help the different organisations that they've met. Over the year, we spent hours and hours and hours sorting through donations, making up boxes or bags for certain groups of people, labelling them and stacking them in a container ready for shipping. In the school holidays, some of us went out in the minibus with Lisa and Denise to do big collections from different places. We've cleared a few community buildings that closed down over the year, and in the summer, Farrington School donated lots of school furniture that was destined for Gambia and that they no longer needed. We made a human chain down 6 flights of stairs to move desks and chairs destined for Gambia. We spent a whole week removing all chewing gum from under the desks and chairs, sanding down the legs and repainting them. As you can imagine, this was an honest task. As donations were coming in thick and fast, we were delighted when Farringdon School said we could have the old caretaker's house to use as a recycling centre. The building has stood empty for some time, so we spent the summer holidays cleaning out and redecorating every room. In the October holidays, we were relieved to be packing the container that would set sail for Gambia. We started work at 6 AM that morning and unloaded the 2 storage containers before the 40-foot container arrived. It was quite an emotional moment at 4 o'clock that day when the crane lifted the container complete with 14 tons of resources onto the back of the truck. In addition to doing the container project, we have done lots of other things to help us prepare for our time out in Gambia. We all attended the first aid training course to learn skills that we could teach to the young people in Gambia. We practiced singing songs, playing games and art and craft activities so that we were confident enough to lead activities with groups of children in schools. And last but not least, we were involved in loads of fundraising activities to raise money we needed to take part.
I'm going to talk about the money we had to raise together, fundraise money. It cost us each £1,150 to go. So, and we had to raise the money for the container as well, and the money we made for materials while there. So that's like paint and sand and all of the other stuff we did for the project. Back in October 2011, we wrote down 42 companies asking for opportunities to raise funds. So some things for doing backpacks. And we got a response from one, and it was a supermarket saying we couldn't give us an opportunity to do that. So it wasn't really that good of a start. We started fundraising with an enterprise challenge for the box that was £10, and we had to raise as much as we could from it. So some people did raffles and yeah, people did raffles and made things and coffee mornings and all sorts. And the money we raised ranged from about £65 to 630, so you can imagine different people came with different ideas. We're able to use the money to pay off our individual balances, so whatever you raised, you've got off your balance. And we'll use payment cards. It was like this, and every time you paid the money, it went off, and you could see exactly how much you paid off. So you could keep track of it, which was good, because that way you could spread it out over the year instead of worrying. And we had to give the £10 back in the box as well. The fundraising activities we did for the year included a band night, wet free as well. Prize draws, sponsored activities, backpacks, quiz night, car boot sales, coffee mornings, cake sales, just about everything you can think of that would raise money. People were doing odd jobs as well around the house and getting people, which was great. It's not huge, it's not okay. The group, the money was put into a pot and then split between everybody who joined in, so that was fair instead of somebody like saying, oh well I didn't go, well I still get some money. So that way they didn't put any work in. Although we did absolutely loads of fundraising activities this year, we had to do lots more by ourselves towards the cost of the trip. It's fair to say that fundraising's been a big task. It's been difficult to keep it going. Some people, like, you would have to go back to the same people all the time and say, no, I've got raffle tickets, and then you go back and say, I've got some more. But they would just say, no, I've bought them last time, so that was quite far. So while we were all trying to pay off the 1,150, Denise and Lisa took on the task of trying to get the money from the central pot. So the money, they got money from and resources and things from some companies doing presentations. It's been really hard to really get our money because everybody's had to like split doing coursework and work and all the other stuff they have to do at home to try and get the time to go and do backpacks and stuff. It's really hard trying to just find the time to do things when you know you've got other stuff to do. It's been stressful as well, but it's been good because all the hard work we did raising money gave us the chance to go, and it was a brilliant experience, and I think it was really worth all the money it cost us to go as well.
I'm Sarah, I'm going to tell you. Sorry, I've got a sore throat. where we stayed in Gambia. It's called the Gunja Project, and it's based on a dirt road that leads down to the fishing village. It's a walled compound, but however the rooms are really comfortable and clean every day, and the food's always really good. Jack, one of the Cumbria group, people from the Cumbria group, called it a little piece of paradise. Kajaban doesn't have many facilities. There's probably about between 80 and 90 compounds in the village, with 2 wells at either end, so it can't get much water. There's also a very small Christian church that would probably accommodate a dozen or so people, and a mosque. There's a women's community garden. That is on the outskirts of the village. And there's also a nursery and a primary school that leads down on the Red Road, that leads down to the fishing village as well. The schools were built by a group from the west that visited the Gunja Project, and paid to train the teachers. When we were there, we bought materials to paint the and we did a makeover for the playground. The fishing village is the main part of the community, with huge smokehouses which were located, which the locals could hire out so they could make the fish last longer. There's also quite a few shacks made out of mud with corrugated roofing to sell their stuff to the locals. The locals use large fishing boats which are hand painted with lines along the beach that go out twice a day to the sea. The locals really depend on the fishing to earn a living. The women and children also work there by carrying baskets of fish from the boats into the shore. Women can be sitting in the shade gutting fish ready for sale. The fishing village and the beach area is quite dirty because there's no public services to take away the rubbish except for the tourist area.
Hi, I'm Olivia, and I'm going to talk about what we actually did while we were in Gambia. As Vicky's already talked about, our big task while we were there was supposed to be emptying the containers that we'd spent so long collecting the resources for, and many of you had helped with. But unfortunately, just a few days before, when Lisa got news that the container had been rolled 3 times, which caused some confusion at first, but it turned out to mean that it missed 3 ships. So it was stuck in Rotterdam, and it wasn't going to make it for when we got there. So we had to come up with another plan at quite short notice. But the big project that we worked on ended up being to renovate Kajabang Law Basic School, and it had been constructed by some volunteers from Holland, and it was made out of mud bricks and it had been plastered, but it hadn't been painted. And so our job was to paint it inside and out, and that was quite hard work because it needed 3 coats on every wall. So after we finished painting it, which was much more technical than we'd expected, and Vicky was our star painter. So we painted murals on the walls inside, and after talking to the head teacher, we found out what would be appropriate for the age that the children were. And because there were still children in the school while we were painting, we could only do 1 classroom at a time. So in the first classroom we painted a mural of Africa, and we wrote the names of the countries so the children could learn about the continent, and we painted a flag, the Gambian flag. in the second classroom we painted the solar system and the stages of the moon, and which was really interesting because Danny ended up explaining to some of the teachers what the solar system was, because they had no idea, they didn't know that we lived there. It was a shock. In the third classroom we painted like the environment and had lots of animals, and it was all the children were amazed by it, so we were very proud. The next thing we did was to renovate the playground, because all of the swings, they were completely broken, and there were tyres that were broken in the ground, and I think there was supposed to be like an obstacle course or something, but it didn't really work. So we had, I don't know how many tons of sand, 4 tons of sand delivered to recover the playground, because it was obviously hadn't been done for a long time, and there were stones, which meant it wasn't very safe for all the children. We redid the swings and painted it with gloss paint, and the next day we found all the children playing on the swings, which was great to see them actually enjoying what we've done. And we had 30 tyres which were made in an outdoor teaching area with, and made like seats for the teachers and the children, so that they would be under the shade of a tree and have some of their lessons outside, which gave them more space. When we were working in the school, we had to keep some of them entertained, so Steve had brought, I think, about 4 chess sets, and we taught them to play chess, which we thought was going to go really badly because most of us don't understand chess. So but it worked really well, and he came to the school the next day, and what the teacher, who'd been really keen on us teaching them, was sitting with the rules that he'd written out, helping them play. We read stories and sang songs outside, which was really good fun, and all the children seemed to really enjoy it. We were invited to the assembly at the school on the last day, and the headmaster thanked all of us for our hard work and everything we'd done for them. And we planted 5 trees, and they promised that they would water them every day, even in the school holidays, so Lisa and Denise are going to check on their progress when we go back in March. We did a lot of other things as well, so I'll just tell you the highlights and keep you all night. But we worked to help clear the community garden because there was, the overgrowth had breakdown with other sticks because they don't have any tools, and we realised just how important the tools that we'd sent them in the container are going to be when they get there, and it was a shame that we didn't have them, but we know what an impact they're going to have now. The work we did was, I would say, physically challenging, and we were all really tired and dirty at the end of only a couple of hours, so we don't know how they do it every day, dressed in their African outfits, and it was amazing, and with their babies on their back as well. But the highlight of that was definitely walking back to where we were singing and dancing with the women who use buckets and drums and stuff, and they were all having a great time. We ran emergency first aid workshops in the Kajman Upper Basic School for 115 children. Most of them had never had any training in first aid before, and how little I knew was shocking for us really, and we felt that we'd really made a difference to them, and just even if we can help them stop one person choking or treat one wound right, then we've done a good thing. We also ran arts and crafts workshops with 64 children in secondary school, and the children don't have the opportunity to do any arts and crafts really because they just don't have the resources. So they don't really have the resources for some basic teaching, never mind sticking things on fish and making masks, so it was great to give them another opportunity. And lastly, we took part in a march with AFNOW, which stands for the something
Amilcar Sadiq.
Amilcar Sadiq Foundation for Needy Orphans and Widows, and in the afternoon, we organised another art and crafts event, and the women put on quite a show for us with lots of traditional African dancing and singing. And we donated £100 to Africa to support the work that they do and to help provide some resources for the orphans and widows that they work with. And we made sure that they knew that the stuff that was in the container was presented to them in due course, and they wouldn't be disappointed.
Hello, I'm Grace, and I'm going to talk a little bit about health. In this group, we are very fortunate we have the National Health Service. In Gambia, people have to pay to go see a doctor and pay for their treatments. For so many families, this is expensive, and choices have to be made between seeing the doctor or the family having a meal that day. Simple things like diarrhea, infected wounds, and mosquito bites are common causes of death in Gambia because many people don't have the money to pay for treatments. While all working in the local primary school, a boy went up to the teacher to see he felt ill and had a headache. The teacher told him to go home and go to the local clinic and be checked for malaria. As the boy was walking away from the school, he collapsed to the ground. Luckily, we were working in the playground and saw him. Graham and Hannah picked the boy up and ran with him to the Gunjar project where we were staying. Daddy helped to bring his temperature down and ring for a doctor. The doctor confirmed he did have malaria and prescribed drugs that ultimately saved the boy's life. Had we not been there that day, the boy would have probably died. Even if the teacher had seen him collapse, he would have carried him home, and the treatment he needed would have been dependent on his family, whether they had the money to pay or not. We later found that his family would not have been able to afford the treatment. Malaria and meningitis can kill in hours. The nearest hospital is a 45-minute car journey away. Very, very few Gambians have cars or can afford taxis. Lots of people in Gambia die unnecessarily because of poor access to healthcare.
Hi, I'm Kim. Sorry, I couldn't say I'm going to talk a bit about family life in Gambia. While we're in Gambia, we were really fortunate to get to know some of the Gambian young people and learn a little bit about how they lived. We had the pleasure of visiting their compounds and being introduced to their families. We discovered family life in Gambia is so different ours in so many different ways. In the Gambian culture, respect is high on the agenda. Children, I knew I was going to cry.
Take a deep breath, you'll be fine.
Children are taught from a young age to respect their elders, and young people are expected to make a significant contribution to family life. Some young men that were taught to work for 6 days out of the 7, and on the 7th day they would spend doing chores around that one compound, helping the families. First and foremost, the salary that they will earn will go towards family expenditure, and for many of the teenage lads that we did taught to, if they had jobs, they would pay for the younger brothers and sisters to go to school, and they would pay for repairs on the homes. Another major difference in Gambia is that men can have up to 4 wives, and after marriage the girl must move into the man's home and live alongside the man's family and his other wives. The man can have children, each of his wives, which mean that in some compounds there's high numbers of children, and obviously the larger the family, the greater the pressure is placed upon the parents to provide for the family. Most women will stay at home and look after the children, but some might work in the local fishing village, sorting and cutting fish to earn maybe 100 dalasi. That's the equivalent of £2 a day. A 20-kilogram bag of rice, which will maybe feed a small family for about a month, will cost £22. So that works out a woman would have to work 11 days just to feed a small family for rice for a month. Most families only eat 1 meal a day, and it would usually consist of rice, homegrown vegetables and fish.
And no matter how hungry a family was, they would share the food with the less fortunate. Sometimes when we were in a school, we would give a child a sweet, and they would take that wrapper, put it in their mouth, give it a quick suck, and then they'd wrap it back up and say that they would take it home for the brothers and sisters and put it in their pocket. There's a lot that people in this country can learn from the Gambian way of life, and it made us think carefully about our family values and what we take for granted.
Hi, I'm Danny, and I'm going to talk about the education that we learned, like what we learned. The education in the Gambian Constitution is mandatory and compulsory for primary schools, yet they don't have enough resources for that to happen. None of the schools that we visited received any money from the government. I mean, we pay taxes to go towards our schools, our NHS. Their taxes don't go towards any of that. A little bit of funding has gone towards the teachers' salaries, but money received was not enough to cover all the salaries. Many teachers working in the schools have not completed teacher training at the cost. As the cost of teacher training is £400, they are often people who have completed seminary choose to share their knowledge, as Olivia said. We will teach them about the solar system's basic things they didn't know, like why the sun moved in the sky, basic science and English things they just didn't have. The vast majority of Gambian children need to pay to go to school. The cost of go to school would not be expensive to us in the region of £40 a year per child, but children also need to have, as we know, uniforms, school shoes, and pay for books and pens, etc. They also have to pay fees to sit exams in secondary school. It costs £10 to sit a normal exam, where for us a reset costs nothing, and we don't even have to pay for the original exam. These costs are a real barrier for many families whose income is often less than £40 per month. With rice costing £22 per sack per month, there is not much money left over to pay for household expenses, so education is quite often a luxury. Some families may only be able to afford to send one of their children to school, and priority is often given to boys, as girls leave the family home and marry at quite a young age sometimes, and raise their own families. Many Gambians live in hope that their children will be sponsored to go to school. To say Gambian schools are understated is a really big understatement. We went into schools where quite literally all they had was blackboards. We painted on a wall. It wasn't the best artwork, but they were over the moon with it. They had white walls that were often dirty because they can't afford to decorate. When children write in exercise books, they're taught to use every single line and to write so small that the book lasts longer. Pens and pencils are so scarce that children beg for them in the streets. Textbooks are a luxury. We give children pens and pencils, and it was like we'd given them £1 million. They really, really appreciated it. We found that children in the Gambia are quite desperate to go to school. They want to learn and have an education and hope they'll be able to get a good job to support their own families in the future. Children are expected to work hard at school, and lateness, absences and laziness is punished, sometimes physically punished. In this country, we tend to take education for granted. I know I complained about school, and I know a lot of children complain about school. These children, they crave education. For us, it's an opportunity. These people have to pay for something that they cannot have. I mean, what we have learned is that we're really fortunate to have a free education. I mean, we sat at dinner one night and spoke to them about education and things. It just really hits home when these people don't know stupid little things that we're taught at a child level, and these boys were 19 years old. Well, we all have resources in schools that are well provided for, and we have a choice of educational options when we go to college, university. These people rarely make it to secondary school. Instead of complaining, we need to value what we have and work hard at school and college. We need to remember that most Gambians can only dream about having what we already have, and we often take for granted.
Hello, I'm Paddy, and I'm going to talk about the political situation in Gambia, which, as you can imagine, is very, very different from how we have it here. It's a presidential republic where the president of Gambia is both head of state and government, and the current president, President Jammeh, I think it's called, has been in power for the past 18 years. And though elections do take place every 5 years and opposition parties are allowed to take part, there's never really a real chance of them getting into power. Denise and Lisa were in Gambia last year during the presidential elections, And when they tried to speak to people, they found that people were very kind of scared of speaking negatively about the government. And personally, this year when I went, I talked to one of the teenagers about, I was just asking him about what he thought about the current president. And he was just singing his praises, saying that he cares a lot about the people, which is difficult to believe when you actually kind of go there. It was rumoured that there was actually 2,000 more votes cast in the election than there were people eligible to vote. So, not the best system. And when we talk about Gambia to people, a lot of people ask, if conditions are as bad as you say they are, why isn't the Gambian government doing something about it? And I think it's a very legitimate question to ask, because you can't really support a whole country based on just volunteer work. So we asked ourselves this while we were there and tried to find an answer. And we found that the people who work in Gambia, they do need to pay tax to the government like we do here, but by the looks of it, the taxes that are paid don't seem to be making any difference at all to the vast majority of people. It makes a difference in terms of tourism. The country invests heavily in tourism to try and create economic growth in firms. And if you look at the airport, as soon as you arrive, it's a spectacular marble building and it's really nice. This is stark contrast to kind of the everyday person living in like a village, which isn't in a tourist area. Police checkpoints on the roads seem to be very well staffed, and the tourist area near Banjul is well served by roads and the beaches are well maintained, and many major hotel chains are actually represented there. But as you drive further up the country from the capital city, poverty and deprivation become visibly more apparent. Asphalt roads turn into dirt tracks, brick-built buildings turn into corrugated shacks, with fewer telegraph poles bearing electricity cables. In Gambia, there's no welfare benefits, healthcare is not free, education isn't free, and employment opportunities are very, very limited, particularly in rural areas. There are measures in place to enforce law and order. There's armed police staff on road checkpoints, and there's a judicial system and state prison. This is just a quote from the President in his pre-election campaign, who said, "We want to transform the Gambia into a trading, export-oriented, agricultural and manufacturing nation, thriving on free market policies and a vibrant private sector, sustained by a well-educated, trained, skilled, healthy, self-reliant and enterprising population, and in doing so, bring to fruition this fundamental aim and aspiration of Vision 2020. However, these words do not reflect the Gambia we saw at all. Local people have no faith in promises made by the government, and they don't have the infrastructure or the power or the kind of voice to instigate change. They're deprived of essentials such as clean water, electricity, access to the media, healthcare and education, which we here just take for granted. We could be cynical and say it's the responsibility of the government to provide for its own people, or we could say that it's time Gambians stood up against the corruption that riddles their country. But such words wouldn't make a difference to ordinary families like yours or mine, who work their fingers to the bone just to survive. They need and deserve all the support we can give them. 90% of the goods that we packed in the container was stuff that we no longer had a use for and was destined to skip. Yet the impact it will have upon the lives of the families we met in Caravan is huge. And just as an example, I rarely play chess, but if you kind of saw one of the kind of 10-year-olds the day after we told them, just immediately at 9 o'clock when we went in or something, they were just already playing chess, and it was great to see.
Especially in terms of raising all our funds to go. It's been an amazing experience that will stay with us for all our lives. And I think, along with all of the masses of benefits that we've had from it, some of the things that have really been influential to us, I think, is the new friends that we've made. We all got on really well as a group. And it's improved our understanding of the issues in developing countries, because none of us have been in Africa before, and it's so different to our country. And it's made us consider and examine our own values and all the different things that we take for granted. We have loads and loads of material wealth that Gambians can only dream of. But then again, what we found is that we lack a lot of things that they have in Gambia that we can learn from. They have a massive commitment to family and community, and in Gambia the family comes first and the children respect their parents, and they're so grateful for like the few possessions that they have, and so we feel that this is being something that we learn from it and we'll really remember from our trip. On behalf of the group, we want to say thank yous to loads of people who've helped us along the way. So first of all, the trustees Box Youth Project, who supported us throughout the year. The City Council, who's helped us with funds towards the cost of the trip as well. Gen 2 has helped us raise money and gather donations and resources from lots of different companies, and they were a major help with packing the container and did lots of volunteering for us, which was great. There's been lots of local community groups and organisations that have held fundraising events on our behalf as well, which was really good in helping us when we had other commitments. And of course, all our parents and families and friends who are here tonight, and lots of people in the community who supported us throughout our fundraising activities and donated clothing and goods that are in the container and will get to the people in Gambia and will help them directly. Without all this generous support, it wouldn't have been possible to do what we did. And so we're just grateful that we've been able to achieve so much with all this help. And also, I'm sure all of us want to say a big thank you to Lisa and Denise for all the work that you've done over the past year, all the work you've done behind the scenes. And it's just, you've provided us with an amazing opportunity that we're so grateful for. So we'll remember it that.
Thank you very much. Obviously, some of them were a bit nervous more than others, and they were reading from a script. But when they ad-libbed, they were talking from the heart, and that was the bit you'll get more so if you challenge them.